Woo! Just give it a minute, see how it looks.
Oh, there we go. Game Over Jesse is live. I'm gonna have the
share it.
You guys froze for a second, but now you're good.
Okay.
Okay. Ah, there it is. Alright.
I guarantee no one
I'm gonna tweet out the
watch
stream.
this because it doesn't have the word Zelda in the title.
Oh, there are 4 watching now, so clearly something's working.
Yeah, we got a loyal fan base.
Yeah.
Video output low. Why is it low?
Jesse, I'm listening to the stream right now. It sounds like you're kind of quiet.
Oh yeah, I just whispered, so.
Okay.
Alright, Jesse, I tweeted out the stream.
Alright. Alright.
Okay.
Say something, Tivi.
Hello.
Okay.
It's me.
You're good.
Alright, awesome.
I was just making sure it had the red bar on the stream, which meant it wasn't doing well, and then now it's green.
Okay.
Alright, so we have the Venom, Silk, and then upcoming DLC. Do you guys have the links opened?
Yeah, I'm sending
Yep,
to other servers.
I got Venom open. I might as well put these in order. Let's see, Venom's open. Silk is open. DC is open. Okay. Yep, I got everything good to go.
Alright. And we're going to do a brief intro for each 4 of these, because they're
Alright.
uploaded as their own videos.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright. You guys ready?
Yep, ready.
Alright.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what I'm doing. Alright.
Neither do we.
What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse. Hold on.
Pause. Cut.
Forgot to do something.
Alright, everybody, let's run it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's restart that.
Take 2.
Wait, Jesse, are you gonna put in announcements and promo that we're doing the podcast, or should I do it?
You can if you want. They won't care.
Okay.
Because it's not Zelda.
What, so you mean not put it in announcements?
No, I'm saying you can. I'm just
Oh,
saying
okay.
that they won't care.
7 people, or 8 people care.
Yeah,
So
8 people care. 8 people want to see our bright, shining faces.
Alright. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as all of you may know me. Here with us is Champion Ashley and Tevy Bear. So, today we're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff. We're going to be talking about the new Venom trailer, new information that was released with it, basically covering everything that we know about the movie so far. We're going to be talking about some DC stuff, Spider-Man's Silk spinoff, and then we're going to end it with Avengers 4 ideas and theories. So to start us off with Venom, a new trailer was shown off at Comic-Con. The trailer has not yet been released, but there was a bunch of stuff that they showed off and confirmed for the movie. One of the bad guys that we've seen from the trailer, who is another symbiote, because Venom, obviously a symbiote. Spider-Man fan, because the symbiotes are some of Spider-Man's fan favorite villains or anti-heroes, whatever you want to call them. So to see Venom have not just Venom or Carnage, but some of the more obscure symbiotes is really cool. He kind of confirmed that there were going to be other villains, but they didn't want to announce anything yet because they didn't want to spoil any surprises. But then he also said that the storyline of the movie was based off of Venom Lethal Protector, sort of loosely based off of it, which the best way to explain the storyline is actually, we have a quick summary here where it says, before the story begins, Venom makes an agreement with Spider-Man that they will leave each other alone, on the condition that Venom commits no crimes. Venom then moves from New York City to San Francisco and takes up with a group of Californian mole people. Shortly thereafter, the father of one of Venom's victims seeks him out with a group of superpowered mercenaries to take revenge. Spider-Man, seeing misleading coverage of Venom on television, heads to San Francisco to confront him and instead winds up fighting alongside Venom against 5 new offspring of the Venom symbiote: Scream, Phage, Riot, Lasher, and Agony. So this movie, where Venom was kind of captured and they experimented on him or whatever, and they took the 5 seeds, made these other 5 symbiotes the sons of Venom. It seems that it's following that plot line very closely, actually. I thought it was just going to be loosely based off of it, but we know that Venom takes place in San Francisco, where the comic takes place. There's the rich billionaire mad scientist guy who's using the symbiote to experiment on people. I think they confirmed that he also had a symbiote suit. Again, we haven't seen the trailer. They haven't released it yet, so we don't know if he is the one playing as Riot or if Riot is another one. But it seems to be that if they keep going along to where it's following the storyline just as closely, then there will be these other 5 symbiotes as well. Or these other 4 symbiotes, actually. So that'd be 6 total, 7 if Carnage ends up making an appearance, which, cross your fingers, but maybe they don't want to do that so soon. Maybe they save that for a sequel if the movie does really well. He also teased, there was an interview with IGN where the director stated, he was asked if Spider-Man was going to be in the movie, and he said that he could not confirm whether or not that he was in the movie or not. And then during the actual Comic-Con panel, he was asked again, because another thing that we know about this Venom is instead of the white spider on the chest, he has what looks like a bunch of white veins. And the director said that he has the white veins, or it looks like white veins at least, because this Venom has never been attached to Spider-Man, so it wouldn't make sense for him to have the Spider-Man symbol. So I think someone asked him like, since Spider-Man isn't going to be in the movie, will he ever meet Spider-Man? And he said that they couldn't reveal too much, but at some time Spider-Man and Venom will cross paths, which makes me think if it's based off of this, then maybe Spider-Man comes in at the very end and helps alongside Venom, or maybe he shows up in like a credit scene or something. So there's a lot of cool stuff here, and another thing that they mentioned during the trailer was when I think there was a store being robbed or something like that, and Venom pretty much bites the guy's head off, which was definitely not something that I was expecting from the movie. It seems a little too graphic for what I would think that Sony would do with Venom. But the director did also state that he doesn't want like a watered down version of Venom. He wants a Venom that people who are fans of the comics would be a fan of the portrayal in the movie. So I guess they are going all out with like a fully mature oriented.
So rated R Venom.
I don't know if it's rated R, but
I think if they're not doing any like blood and gore, it's probably going to be at least rated PG-13.
yeah, like if he bites the person, like if it shows him biting the person's head off, which in the trailer it kind of like cut away when Venom's mouth opened, and it gives the impression that he bites the person's head off. So if it cuts
So
away
not
like
full
that,
on showing it.
yeah, like if it cuts away in the movie, because it could be something that they're just saving for the movie that they don't want to put in a trailer, because trailer is supposed to be for all audiences most of the time. So if it's something they're saving for the movie and he does do it, then yeah, it's going to be rated R. But if it's just like the camera cuts away before and you hear him scream, then it'll just be PG-13. So, and then especially if there's a lot more than that as well, because there could be even more violent parts, especially with Venom being the good guy fighting against the other symbiotes like Riot. If Venom's doing this as like the anti-hero, then these other guys must be doing something a lot worse. So basically I just wanted to, we covered basically everything that there was to know about the movie. The possibility of Spider-Man making an appearance, which the fact that he said that he could cross paths with Spider-Man means that he kind of confirms that it does take place in like the Spider-Man universe. So whether or not that also connects it to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is still up for debate, because it could be like the Sony movies are its own thing, and then the Disney movies are its own thing, and Spider-Man just kind of crosses the line back and forth, or it all could take place in the same universe. We don't really know, but he did confirm that it is in the same universe with Spider-Man, or else they wouldn't be able to cross paths. And then we know he's not going to have the spider logo on the chest. It's going to be like the white veins. It's going to be tonally different from Homecoming and other Marvel movies, where it's more mature rated or adult audience oriented. And we know that there are going to be multiple villains, at least one of which being the symbiote Riot, which if it does follow the same storyline, then other symbiotes are going to be there as well. But Tevi, starting with you, what are your thoughts on all this?
So I have been a Spider-Man fan pretty much all my life, and the moment that I found out they were doing a live-action Venom movie made me very happy, because now Sony finally has the chance to redeem themselves for the piece of crap that was the original Spider-Man 3.
I love that Spider-Man 3.
I don't like that movie very much. I loved it as a kid, and then I watched it when I got older, and I'm like, you know, this isn't as good as I thought it was.
For a long time, it was my favorite movie. So
yeah, and like, if you love the movie, if you hate the movie, I'm not trying to bring you down on that. It's just personally, I didn't like it And one of the main reasons why I didn't like it was their portrayal of Venom. I didn't think that they did enough with him to make him...
I believe is a crime, because from what I've heard, the studio pushed Sam Raimi to put in Venom.
Yeah.
He wanted to do a different villain. I think it was the Lizard he wanted to do as a villain, but instead the studio said, no, we want to do Venom instead. And then we barely see him at all, which is extremely weird and does not do the character, the villain, justice.
Yeah. And not to mention, I think that the way he was killed off was kind of lame. I think they could have done something better with that. But with this new Venom movie coming out, I think this is finally the chance that Sony has to give us a good Venom. And the actor who is portraying Eddie Brock, I forget his name at the
Tom Hardy.
moment. Tom Hardy, thank you. Tom Hardy, I think so far from what I've seen from the trailer, I think he's doing good. Venom himself, we've barely seen any of him, but when the Venom came down on his face and he's like, "We are Venom," I thought that was so cool. So I'm very much looking forward to this movie. I have a lot of faith in Sony on this one.
Yeah, they also have there's something saying that when Venom's talking to him at certain points, there's like a CG Venom head that kind of appears off of his shoulder. I don't know if that meant like it's not connected and it's supposed to look like, someone's inside his mind talking to him.
Yeah, kind of like like an angel on one side, a devil on the other side.
Like, I don't know if it meant that or if the Venom suit actually, the black goo or whatever it is, the symbiote, actually stretches out from his shoulder or something. And then you see the head, physically attached, but not on his head.
That would look so weird.
So, whatever way that they, whichever path they take with it, I think it's going to be interesting. So, but Ashley, what are your thoughts?
I have extremely cautious optimism about this. At first, I did not want a Venom movie at all because I didn't have the faith that Sony could do Venom correctly without Marvel, because it seems as though Marvel knows the characters better than Sony does. And knowing that this film isn't going to be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'm sort of fine with that. But I'm also you should still have the guys who've been doing comic book movies right a part of this. And the trailers have been fine. I think that they're fine. They haven't gotten me completely hooked onto the film.
For Venom.
Well, the trailer itself hasn't gotten me I want to see that film. It's more you've got me intrigued, let me see more, and then I'll make a decision. And about the Spider-Man connection, I think what my 2 cents about it is, I think this is an alternate version of the comic book universe where Spider-Man isn't on the Avengers like he is in or like he was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep.
And I don't expect Spider-Man to show up at all in this film. Maybe a name drop, maybe a small appearance by Tom Holland in the film. And if they do an end credits scene with Spider-Man, fine, I'm okay with that. But I don't think that he's going to appear in this film as Spider-Man, because I think what Sony are going for is that this is Venom's film. Any appearance of Spider-Man will take the audience's attention completely off of Venom.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they are going to do that.
Yeah, I think Sony really shouldn't. They need to be careful about this because they don't want their fans going into the movie being all like, "Where's Spider-Man? Where's Spider-Man? Where's Spider-Man? There's Spider-Man. Okay, now we can go home."
I think
so.
I feel like I'm the exact opposite on this. I think most fans would go in and be disappointed if they didn't see some sort of interaction with Spider-Man, because the big fight that a lot of people would want to see would be like Spider-Man and Venom, and where Spider-Man, we know, is just, you know, a high school kid at this point with little training, whereas Venom is attached to someone who I think in this movie is supposed to have some sort of military training. So not only is Venom like stronger, bigger, more powerful, but he actually knows how to like strategize and fight, where Spider-Man just knows as much as like a normal kid would know. You know, a kid with super strength, but still. So I think it would be a scenario where Spider-Man goes to try to stop him, but then ends up somehow losing against him or something. But instead of like harming him or trying to kill him or something, like there's something like you would expect in the comics or the cartoons, where Venom always, I think Venom hated Spider-Man because Spider-Man like didn't want to be a part of him. So it wasn't necessarily that Venom, maybe this is just like one continuity that I'm remembering this from and not all of them, but it was like Venom hated Spider-Man because Spider-Man didn't want to be a part of him. So instead of killing him, Venom would have just like latched back on to Spider-Man. So it was more of a jealousy type thing, but that connection wouldn't be there in this movie. So I think
that about Spider-Man, you can't go, this is essentially a position where you can't please everyone with this. Like, if you go one route, you're inevitably going to anger another group of people. Like, for me and Tevi, we don't want to see Spider-Man. And if they do go that route, it's going to anger quite a lot of fans who are going to be like, where's Spider-Man? And then, but if you do include Spider-Man, it takes the audience's attention off of the main character, which is Venom and Eddie Brock. And that could downgrade the film overall by taking the attention off of the main character, or rather the audience's attention off of the main character onto Spider-Man.
See, I think a lot of people thought the same thing about in the trailers for Spider-Man Homecoming. Almost every scene in the trailers had Iron Man in it. And there's a lot of people like Robert Downey Jr. is basically the leader of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Having Iron Man in it's going to take a lot of stuff away from Spider-Man. And even in the movie, a lot of the stuff, like whenever they're on the ship, it's Iron Man that comes to help Spider-Man and pretty much saves the day, where Spider-Man wasn't able to do it on his own. So a lot of people thought that it would be Iron Man taking it away from Spider-Man, where Iron Man was in maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes total in the Spider-Man movie, which is a lot more than I imagined Spider-Man would be in the Venom movie. Like, I think he would just show up for like 5 minutes, there'd be a brief interaction, and then Venom would basically crush Spider-Man and then go on somewhere, and then maybe Spider-Man has like some quirky joke about it, or he shows up in like a credit scene or like at the very end of the movie and he's just like, who are you? And then he does the line, we are Venom, and then it goes off. Now, I don't think that would take too much away, because I don't really see a world where too many people expect to see a Venom movie without Spider-Man, because they are so connected. So I think everyone going in would know what to expect. But that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm essentially in a position where I can't figure out if the movie will be better with Spider-Man included or not. It's just, also, the film it hasn't even. I mean, I know that we've been hearing about a second trailer, but we still haven't seen it yet. So we don't know if we need to decide if the movie has improved or not before we can start putting judgment on Spider-Man being in the film.
I think that if they really did want to include Spider-Man in this film, I would save it for an end credit scene to tie over to the next Venom movie. If there is going to be another Venom movie, maybe like their main focus for this movie is, okay, we want to establish Venom, who he is, what his goals are, and then at the end we're going to tease Spider-Man, so that way for the next movie, Spider-Man comes in to help Venom.
Yeah.
You need to establish your main character first, and then you can bring in Spider-Man.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. And if they don't do Carnage as the main villain in this movie, then it would be interesting if they saved Carnage for the second movie.
Yeah, they could. If this movie does well, they could do Carnage.
Yeah, I would love to have Carnage be the main villain for a Venom Spider-Man team-up movie.
Yeah.
But you know, Venom really doesn't have his own villains per se. Usually all of Venom's villains are all Spider-Man's villains. So either you go and have Venom go against maybe a villain we've already treaded before, bring in someone we don't know, or we deal with one of the symbiotes, which I think we might deal with not Carnage, but maybe, I know in this article they implied something going on with the Riot symbiote.
Yeah, Riot was shown in the trailer. Said he was much bigger and stronger and everything than Venom was.
Yeah.
So.
And who knows? Maybe in the future they can tackle anti-Venom or something like that. I would love to see that.
I think it would make a cool build up for like Spider-Man 3. So whatever is coming after Far From Home. Was that the second title?
That's reportedly the title.
So like if Spider-Man comes up and the Venom suit like attaches to Spider-Man in like the end credit scene or something, and then that could lead to like Spider-Man 3 where he has the black suit and it's him like coming to terms with that. And then maybe he gets it off or something. I don't know. But it would be cool to see that. And then I expect to see like Spider-Man in the symbiote suit at some point, but maybe that's down the road than this. But anyways, let's get on to... Are you there?
Hello?
Okay. What were you saying?
Hello.
Nothing. We can move on.
Alright.
Secrets Immortal in the chat earlier said 65k subs. Awesome.
Oh, thank you. So the next movie we're going to talk about is another Spider-Man spin-off. This one is called Silk, and there's a rundown on this from Variety.com, which pretty much tells us all that we need to know. So I'll read through it, update everybody, and then we'll discuss it a bit, kind of like the last one. So, what's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as all of you may know me. Here with us is Ashley and Tevi. We're going to be talking about the Spider-Man spin-off film Silk, which was recently announced. We have a lot of information here that a lot of people may not know about Silk because she is pretty obscure. It's kind of something I never expected them to do, but if they're looking for more Spider-Man related characters, I guess it would make sense for her. Spider-Gwen is one that I think is a lot more popular, so I would have expected her to come first, but it is cool seeing these more minor characters getting their spotlight. So it says, a movie is in the works based on the Marvel comic Silk, which centers on Korean-American superheroine Cindy Moon. Sony Pictures and producer Amy Pascal are developing the film based on a character that first appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man #1 in 2014, created by writer Don Slott and artist Humberto Ramos. Hope I pronounced that right. She's part of the basic Peter Parker storyline about a demonstration on the use of radioactive rays at a science exhibit gone wrong. A spider is exposed to large amounts of radiation and bites Parker, giving him the power to become Spider-Man. Moon, a student in Parker's class, is also bitten by the radioactive spider around the same time and gains the abilities to move at incredible speed, shoot webs out of her fingertips, and possess an advanced spider sense known as Silk Sense. Tiffany Expenson, again, hope I pronounced that right, played the character in last year's Spider-Man Homecoming, which Pascal produced with Marvel topper Kevin Feige. Sony had no comment about the project, which is in the early stages of development. The logline is under wraps. No director, writer, or actors are currently attached. So the important thing here is the character that plays Silk was one of the students that Peter Parker in Spider-Man Homecoming was friends with, or sort of friends with. I think they were on the same debate team, was it? Or some kind of...
Yes.
I forgot exactly what it was. But,
I believe so.
Yeah, so she was like the 10 girl that was on the team with Peter Parker. So I'm wondering if they would recast her to get someone that they feel could do better and center a movie around, like a not necessarily a more famous actor, but someone that they have more faith in. But it would be awesome if they did just go with the person that they already have cast, which we've seen movies in the past where they have recast certain characters because they didn't feel like they would be able to live up to the role. But with this, I think it's really cool because maybe while Spider-Man is on his adventure with the Avengers in like Avengers 5 or Avengers 6, or while he's turned to dust or inside the Soul Stone, who's back in New York to help save it? We know there's the minor characters that appear on TV, like I almost forgot the names. Luke Cage, Daredevil, all of them are sort of in the same area, protecting New York. But there's not much crossover with the movies, especially if it's going to be a Sony movie. But since this character is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe because Spider-Man Homecoming, it's sort of the same thing with Venom, where it kind of crosses the line. Like, is Spider-Man connected to two different universes, or is Sony and Microsoft all working together to share the universe? So this movie, again, kind of crosses the lines. So what do you guys think about this? It'll be the first time that we've seen a female hero or villain in a live-action Spider-Man movie. So
I would like to start this off first. So
Yep. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Already I actually heard about this just today, so I don't have as many thoughts on this as probably Jesse or Tevi does. But immediately I want to draw my attention to the article's name. Spider-Man Silk, a Korean-American superhero, gets her own movie. Now, I'm going to be bringing up a very, very heated debate going on right now about diverse women getting their own films. It has been an extremely toxic debate going on over the past year about women becoming more of a hero than men do in films, such as the controversy around Star Wars The Last Jedi about Rey and the character Rose being heroines in their films, especially Rose, who is a actress who is not white. I believe that this film will already be getting quite a lot of controversy around it because it is a heroine in the Marvel universe who is a woman of color, and I am already very worried about this film's publicity because of the debate going on across the internet about diversity and women being involved in superhero films. I am somewhat excited for this film, but I am also very worried about what the discussion around this film will turn into, as I myself have been involved with these types of discussions before. And that's my 2 cents on it.
Okay.
What about you, Tevi?
So I read a little bit about Silk before coming on the podcast, and I have to say she's very interesting. The little bit I read, she is pretty much a female Spider-Man,
Yeah.
except from what it looks like in this article here, she has a more advanced spider sense. I think that's pretty interesting. And the one bit that I read on another article, said that something along the lines of things get heated whenever her and Spider-Man are in the same area. Those implications, heated.
Yeah.
But I would say I am very excited for the. Again, it's more Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. It's more of this universe that I, want to see develop, and I just can't wait. I say whatever they got in line for it, to go for it, go with their gut, and overall, I'm just hoping for a really, really good movie.
Yeah, I think, like they said, there's no actors or anyone attached to it. We know that the character in Spider-Man Homecoming is already cast for it, but we don't know if they're bringing her over for this movie or they'll recast her or whatever. But I think before they actually move along with this movie, they might want Spider-Man 2 to come out, and if it does well, then this might end up, finally
accelerating in development.
Yeah, Spider-Man's got to come back from the dead first.
Yeah, so they may be waiting for that, or they could just be waiting for Venom before they actually push the project along. Because with Venom, if it does well, then they're like, okay, yeah, people want more Spider-Man related stuff, even if it's not Spider-Man. So they could do something very similar with this, but where maybe they could, I think a good plot for the movie would be to where Spider-Man is away from New York or whatever. The Spider-Man 2 is literally called Spider-Man Far From Home or whatever. So with this movie, Spider-Man's not there to protect the neighborhood or the school or whatever, then that would be the perfect excuse for Silk to step in and be like, I have these powers, I need to stop being afraid, I need to be the one that helps. So I think that would be an easy plot that would make sense.
Yeah.
So it could just be that her coming to grips with the powers that she has, sort of like we've seen in the Spider-Man movies before with Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man. We've seen in Civil War and Spider-Man Homecoming, there wasn't really that coming to grips thing because the Spider-Man was already established. He kind of had a basic understanding of all of his powers.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that Peter Parker's webs come from his
own invention.
Yeah, his own inventions, the device on his wrist or whatever. But the webs come from her fingertips. So I wonder if they'll go the same route to where her suit produces the webs from her fingertips, or if they're actually going to have her produce from her
like the
fingertips.
original for Spider-Man films, where instead of it being a device, it actually came from his wrist.
Yeah, but I think that came from the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, because I think it was originally he had the device that shot the webs, and then when they made Ultimate Spider-Man in the Ultimate Marvel Universe, they just made it so it came from his wrist, which is what they did in they kind of reversed it with Spider-Man and then Amazing Spider-Man, where the original had the natural webs, and then in Amazing Spider-Man he created his own, which was another thing that was cool. We just talked about Venom right before this. The cool thing about Venom is that like he can create his own web-like substance from his suit or whatever, and that was the big deal about the symbiote suit when Spider-Man had it, is that he didn't need to use the web device, whatever it's called. But yeah, I think it would, like, a cool simple story is just Spider-Man, you know, not around, and then she has to step up to save everything. It would be interesting if because she also shares a lot of the same bad guys as Spider-Man, since, you know, they both live in the same town, they have the same bad guys, so it makes sense. But it would be a cool way to, if they ever want to go all in on a Sinister Six movie, instead of introducing 6 or 7 different bad guys in a single movie, they can just introduce, like, use these side stories to introduce some of the other bad guys, and then whenever the Sinister Six movie happens, then they can have, you know, these different spider characters sort of teaming up. So it's all interesting. Yeah, do you guys have any final thing to say about it before we move on to the next topic?
Ashley, do you mind if I go first?
Oh, definitely. Go on ahead.
Okay, so Jesse, you brought up something earlier about this movie possibly taking place either maybe during or before Avengers 4, where Peter Parker's not around, and so Silk comes out of the shadows to help her out. I think that would be a perfect scenario for a Silk movie, because if you think about it, this is right after Thanos snaps his finger, half the universe is wiped out, and the implications from the scene at the end of the movie where you know, Nick Fury and the other
Marie
chick,
Hill?
Marie Hill, thank you. When they were seeing the chaos that was happening in New York.
Yeah, everything's kind of gone to crap since the snap.
If you think about it, maybe after the snap, with the world going into chaos, that might be a time for whatever villains are left to come out of hiding and start taking over. So maybe that would give Silk a motive to come out of hiding and fight them, because, okay, Spider-Man's not here, somebody has to do this. And the Avengers probably can't, because they'll be all fighting Thanos. So I think that would be a good setup for a Silk movie.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not they're going to do it,
I think,
you know, that's all up to them.
That would be one way they could do it, but I don't imagine them being that courageous with the movie.
Yeah, we don't even know if Silk is going to be even connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It could be like Venom, where she's not even in that world.
That's true.
Well, it could be. Like, there's no... Like, the script isn't even written for it yet.
Yeah.
And this would be closer tied in to Spider-Man Homecoming than Venom is, because the character already appears in Spider-Man Homecoming. It's
true that.
So, like, the character is already in the cinematic universe. Even in Avengers 3 Infinity War, when it shows the class from Homecoming, they're all on the bus. So the character does exist in the cinematic universe. So if they don't recast, then who knows? But anyway, if they do recast, then it could just be something completely different. But anyways, I think it could be a situation like that, to where Avengers, you know, are all taking on every Thanos and his army, and then, you know, New York's going to chaos. But I think a more likely situation would be where it's Spider-Man Far From Home or whatever. where if he is outside of New York or whatever, and that could, if that movie ties into the Venom movie, then that would make sense as well. Like if Spider-Man shows up at the end of Venom, and then like the next Spider-Man movie is called Far From Home, if he's from New York but the next Spider-Man movie takes place in San Francisco, then that goes with the title perfectly, you know, Spider-Man Far From Home. So while he's there or wherever he is in the movie, I think that would be a more realistic thing, to where like the two movies take place kind of side by side, but it's just one is Spider-Man's story over here and the other one takes place at the same time but in his own city or whatever. But before we go, Ashley, what are your final thoughts?
Silk, again, it was just announced. We're just going to need to watch it and see if everything's going fine. As for the movie itself, yeah, I'm always happy when women get more roles in Hollywood, and seeing if I've been hearing a bit about Silk from friends and online, and she sounds pretty cool. So, I'm in. I'm on the hype train. Let's get it moving.
All right. All right. Our next topic here is this one's the fun one. Avengers 4 theories and ideas. So,
I've got a good one.
all right.
After Ant-Man and the Wasp, I've got a good one.
Alright. What's up, everybody? I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as all of you may know me. Here with us is Ashley and Tevi, just like the other discussions. So if you haven't seen them yet, you can watch our discussion on Venom, the upcoming Venom movie, the not yet in production Silk movie, which is another Spider-Man spinoff. We also have a DC movie, Batman, Harley Quinn, Joker. There's like 2 different Joker movies coming out. We're discussing all of those movies, so you can go watch that tomorrow. But right now we're going to be talking about Avengers 4, some ideas, thoughts, theories, speculation of what we think is going to happen. I guess the easiest way to do this is there's a lot of fan theories out there. I think everyone has their own little theory of what's going to happen in the movie, so we're each going to go around, Ashley, Tevi, and I, and discuss what we think is the most likely theory to take place. So to start us off, I guess I'll go, because I have all of the facts in my head right now, so before I forget about them, I want to go ahead and mention this, which Tevi and I, we kind of discussed this earlier, but it sort of ties in with Ant-Man and the Wasp and something Tom Holland said when he was being interviewed with Benedict Cumberbatch, the actor who plays Doctor Strange. So they were being interviewed, and during the interview, they asked like a question along the lines of like, how hard were your lines in Avengers? Was it hard, like, you know, remembering them, whatever? And Tom Holland says, well, it wasn't as hard for me as it was for Doctor Strange, because he always had to talk about lines about like quantum physics or quantum mechanics and stuff like that. And as we know, Infinity War had none of that. But in Ant-Man and the Wasp, the end credit scene is them saying, basically, while you're in the quantum dimension, watch out for the time vortexes, because if you go into one, we won't be able to help you. But then they're not able to help him anyways, because they get snapped away. So he's stuck there. And then there are the set photos where the Wasp, or not the Wasp, Ant-Man is back in time during the first Avengers movie. So it looks like Ant-Man teased us with that line, and he does go through the time vortex, and he ends up there with the old Avengers. There was what was it? There's a leak or something. I forgot what it was, where they suggested I think it was the director or the producer or something, I forgot, said that the next Avengers movie, maybe it was an actor, was Avengers, and then the initials were FE, which there is the storyline, or no, maybe it was FH. I don't know, but it was there's a storyline called Avengers Forever, where they get Avengers from the past, the present, and the future to help team up to take on something. Which, if this movie has time travel, which we kind of know it does, because of the photos that were taken on set. So in some form or another, whether it's the time stone, whether it's these time vortexes, we know that there is time travel involved. And since the last Ant-Man movie mentioned it, then it does make sense that that would be the way that they take. But there are theories that involve the time stone as well. So I think whatever happens is going to be interesting. It's a nice theory that, based on what we've seen from the movies, actually does make sense. And then Tom Holland doing what Tom Holland does.
Revealing spoilers.
Yeah, which, like, I don't think it's, like, actual accidents. Like, it's pretty obvious that the studio's getting him to do this. Because it happened with the first movie, it happened with the second movie, it happened, I think, something with the Infinity War, now it's happened again with this. So I think it's just a running gag that they are telling him to, like, leak this in this way, and that's it. Because, like, the first time, yeah, that could have been an accident, but then, like, it literally keeps happening, and the only time it happens is when these movies are announced. So, like, I think the running gag, the joke, it's kind of overplayed now, where it just kind of obvious. But anyways, what are your guys' theory on this?
I think I have one.
All right.
And it was I haven't really taken too much thought on it since I made it walking out of the theater after Ant-Man and the Wasp. So at the end of the film, in the end credits scene, the mid-credit scene, the team, the Wasp and Ant-Man, along with Hank and Janet, take Scott to the quantum realm to get these, quote, healing particles. And they say that it's for the villain Ghost. And then things happen, they get dusted, and Ant-Man is left in the quantum realm. What I think could possibly happen is that Ant-Man uses those healing particles that he gained from the quantum realm to do something with something related to the Avengers. Possibly bring them back to life, do something specific, I do not know. But I know for a fact those healing particles mean something. Because they don't... Why would they say it? Like, oh yeah, they're trying to help Ghosts and all that, but why? Why would they show us something in a mid-credit scene that involves Infinity War and Avengers 4 so much? Which is why I think those healing particles mean something. And that's my theory, that they are going to be a part of Avengers 4.
Yeah, that's...
Okay.
I haven't really thought about that.
Tevi, what do you think?
Okay, so for Avengers 4, there have been a lot of theories going around, some of which sound kind of weird, but at the same time you could see them happening. I've seen a theory that the Hulk that is currently with the Avengers is not actually the Hulk, but rather Loki. And that the Loki that was killed at the beginning of Avengers Infinity War was a clone of some sort. And that the real Bruce Banner is off somewhere with Korg and
Valkyrie.
Really quick,
Valkyrie,
which
yes.
movie was it where... I think, was it Ragnarok? Because, like, there was a scene where Thor, like, threw something at Loki. and like Loki called it, where Thor thought it was like gonna go through him or something.
Yeah, that was Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, that was Ragnarok.
So, and then in the second Thor movie, there was a scene where Loki changes himself to Captain America, and then he changes back to Loki. So I've seen a lot of people say like, "Oh, that wouldn't happen. Loki wouldn't do that," and then, you know, he's done it several times before in different movies. So it is something that's happened before. But I just wanted to mention that for the people that are watching that might think, "Oh, like that's why would Loki do that or whatever." So it's something that he's already done before. So continue.
Yeah, so it could be possible that the Bruce Banner that's on Earth right now is Loki, and is with Korg and Valkyrie off doing something else. And I think that Korg and Valkyrie are going to be coming back within the next couple of movies, because why would they introduce these awesome characters in one movie just to have them killed off at the beginning of Infinity War? It doesn't make sense to me.
I think it was the directors like confirmed that there was another ship that had a bunch of people on it.
Yeah, I think they did confirm that they're alive.
Yeah. So I think there was another part of the theory that said that the reason that Bruce wasn't able to turn into the Hulk while he was on Earth wasn't because the Hulk was scared, but it was because Loki wasn't able to, or something. Like he could, like if he would have turned into
that's something that he couldn't replicate.
Yeah, which is why it shows him like trying to turn into the Hulk, but then it stops.
Yeah, that could also explain why the Hulk got beat up so much at the beginning of the movie, was because it wasn't actually the Hulk.
Yeah.
See, my problem with that theory is a lot of things. I have a lot of problems with that theory, but the main problem I have with it is, yes, Loki's alive, but why? Like, why would we do that? Like, why? What difference does Loki make being in the plot? Yeah, he's back and he's a fan favorite character, but why? Like, what could he do with the Avengers? Like, the Avengers hate him. Like, the Avengers really don't like Loki, so why would we bring him back? Like, it not only...
Have you ever read any of the Loki-focused comics?
No, but I'm saying for the cinematic universe, why would we bring him back? Because also, I remember reading an article somewhere about Hulk's character arc being across Ragnarok to Infinity War and then to Avengers 4. In Avengers 4, we see Hulk struggling, or rather Bruce struggling with the Hulk, and that's character arc. That's a character arc that he needs to get over. If it turns out to be Loki, then we just disregard all of that character, motivate all of that character building, just so that we could bring back a fan favorite character. Like, I don't see them doing that. Because it undervalues Hulk's character arc by bringing back a character that can't really do much against Thanos anyway, since the MCU has universally shown us that Loki isn't as powerful as he is in the comics.
Yeah, that's true. But it is something interesting to think about. Like, if it does happen, that's fine. If it doesn't happen, that's also fine. Trying to think of anything else for Avengers 4. I mean, I don't know if... because Hulk, I know for sure Hawkeye is going to be back in this movie. And then whether or not the Avengers go around trying to round up anybody else that they can, or, you know, we gotta find Tony, we gotta find Nebula. We just gotta get everybody back.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is, in the comic storyline with the Infinity Gauntlet, it's Nebula who takes the gauntlet and puts it on, and then
Yeah, that was the original
Yeah.
Infinity Gauntlet
And then
storyline.
Everyone is even more freaked out because they knew what Thanos wanted to do. He wanted to like make things even or whatever, which doesn't even really make too much sense. But I'll get into that another time. It's his daughter or whatever is literally crazy in the comics. Like nobody knew what she was going to do. Like if she was just going to end all existence or if she was going to do something good, bad, like it could be something 10 times worse than what Thanos wanted to do. So like even Thanos was freaked out whenever she got the gauntlet, which I thought was kind of funny because the whole build up is that Thanos gets the gauntlet and then everyone's like fighting against making a big deal about Thanos. But then whenever she gets the gauntlet, everyone, including Thanos, is even more freaked out. So like if they end up doing something like that in Avengers 4, where they do follow that same storyline, I think it would be an unnecessarily funny moment, but I don't imagine they would do it. But they might, as like a callback to the original story. But either way, I just think it would be something that would be funny if it did happen.
Yeah.
Or like maybe like after they get the gauntlet off of Thanos and kill him or whatever they do, like she bends down to like reach for it and then everyone's eyes widen or something before she hands it to like Tony Stark or someone. So
Yeah. And it's interesting that you brought up Nebula.
Well,
You know, through I did bring up Nebula. Well, we were talking about Nebula regardless. You know, in these movies, she has expressed her hatred for Thanos multiple times, you know, and every single explanation of her wanting to kill Thanos has been very graphic. So if she did manage to get a hold of the Infinity Gauntlet, I think the first thing she would do is kill Thanos, then bring back Gamora, and then give the gauntlet to the Avengers to get... It's like King Neptune in SpongeBob when after he eats the Krabby Patty, he's like, "This is so good, I want to eat it a second time." He pulls it back out and he eats it again. So I imagine that Nebula would do something like that.
Well, like
that could just be like a funny little gag.
In Infinity War, it's like she's actually being tortured by Thanos, so it would make sense that she would want to do something crazy to him.
Yeah, maybe turn him into a robot.
Yeah.
So
There was actually something that I did want to discuss about Korg and Valkyrie that I think one of my friends brought up when we were discussing the film offline. He said that Korg and Valkyrie and Meek, let's not forget about Meek, he's very important.
Meek's dead. Meek's dead. Oh, Meek, he's alive, guys. What was the question again?
Who's Meek?
He was the little thing with the scissor hands. The little alien thing that was always with Korg.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe I didn't pay too much
Jesse,
attention.
why?
I'm sorry,
Oh, you anger me.
I'm sorry.
You anger me. I'm done. I am leaving.
I'm sorry, guys. Don't hate me.
So anyway, my friend, he said that he brought up the point that Korg, Meek, and Valkyrie got away with presumably a few extra Asgardians. And before the show, Tevi, you brought up the idea about where Captain Marvel is, and you said that she could possibly be in space.
Yeah,
what he said is that what if Captain Marvel meets up with Korg, Valkyrie, and Meek, and Valkyrie says, we need to go find Thor and help him out, and that's how Captain Marvel gets back to Earth, thanks to Valkyrie, Korg, and Meek. Which
I didn't even think about that.
Okay.
Which not only
the people
involves, which gets Valkyrie, Korg, and Meek to Earth, which means they'll be in Avengers 4, which is good, because Korg needs to be in these films, and gets Captain Marvel back to Earth where she can help take down Thanos with the Avengers. And I was completely mind blown. I'm like, wow, I did not even think of that.
That'd be really cool. I would honestly I want to see a scene in Avengers 4 where it's not just like what you said with, them coming to Earth and helping out, but all of the heroes from like the Netflix series. Like I want just like one scene where it shows them helping out.
Like a 360 Avengers one shot of everyone from the films and TV shows all together fighting against Thanos.
Oh, that would be
not
amazing.
Necessarily a one shot, but something like it shows the main characters fighting against Thanos, but then there is like the smaller alien army that Thanos leads, and it's these other characters like Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Daredevil and everyone fighting against them. Like just like little hints of confirmation that, hey, these people that you know from the Netflix series actually do exist in this universe. It's not just casual mentions of them. They're actually finally in a film with them. Even if it is just like a small 5-second scene and then they each have like one line. I think that would not only like make them seem more credible, but everyone watching the movie who isn't aware of the Netflix series would be like, oh, there's Daredevil's there, or Luke Cage is there. I didn't know about this. So then they have all of the. It's sort of like a quick way to not only give a nod to the Netflix series or the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series, but also
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
But also build up a lot more hype to get people interested, because if they see like, oh, it is connected, then they'll like run off and see it if they are a huge fan of the movie and what they do with the
So essentially, like, what you're saying is what huge, gigantic spoilers for Solo: A Star Wars Story, so you've been warned. It's exactly what they did with the Darth Maul cameo in Solo, where it not only enhanced the film itself by including this hugely important character in the lore, but it also tells people Maul survived and he was involved with these TV shows. Go watch them to figure out the full story. So it not only helped the film itself, but it also gave a big boost to the fandoms of those two TV shows. Yeah. So that's what you're saying I'm getting at.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which would be awesome.
So I think we're ready to move on to the final thing, unless you guys have something else to say.
Oh, I'm done.
No, we can move on.
All right. So close out that.
That was good. That was a good discussion.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. I feel kind of dumb doing this all at once, but not all at once, just like the different intros or whatever. Like, it doesn't make sense for the people watching live, but whenever I cut up the episodes and post them individually, then it will make sense.
Yeah.
But what's up, everybody?
Okay.
I am Jesse, or Game Over Jesse, as all of you may know me. Here with us is Tevi and Champion Ashley to discuss all of the upcoming DC Batman related movies. The DC universe is basically turned into an extended Batman universe with splashes of the Flash and everyone else. So here,
And Aquaman.
And Aquaman, yes. But we just finished talking about thoughts, theories, speculation for Avengers 4. We discussed the Silk Spider-Man spin-off, which is basically the female Spider-Man whose character is actually in Spider-Man Homecoming, which is interesting. And we also talked about the Venom spin-off movie, which apparently at some point the director of it confirmed that at some point Venom and Spider-Man will cross paths, whether that's in this movie, or not this movie, but the Venom movie, a end-credit scene, or in a sequel of some sorts. He did confirm that it was going to happen, so apparently a shared universe there, which kind of gets confusing, but you can go watch those videos to find out more. Right now, we're going to be talking about all of these movies. So to quickly go through and list all of these, the next movie that DC has scheduled, we're going to go through all of the ones with dates, and then we're going to go to the ones that are planned but have no confirmed dates. There is Aquaman, Shazam, Wonder Woman 1984, a Joker origin movie for 2019-2020, Cyborg for 2020, Green Lantern Corps for 2020, Suicide Squad 2 for 2020, Flashpoint has no release date, Batgirl has no release date, Nightwing has no release date, Justice League Dark has no release date, but there's a cool poster of Swamp Thing. Man of Steel 2 has no release date. Deathstroke has no release date. Black Adam has no release date. Lobo has no release date. New Gods, which was teased in Justice League, has no release date. The Batman, which is the Batman standalone movie, has no release date. Gotham City Sirens has no release date. A Harley Quinn standalone film has no release date. A Harley Quinn and Joker movie has no release date. And a standalone Joker movie with Jared Leto's Joker has no release date. So you can see
So
why...
long story short, there's a lot of films coming out, and a lot of them have no release dates.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can see why I said it. It's pretty much a Batman extended universe. But some of these movies do take place outside of the DC film universe that we're all aware of right now, such as the solo Joker movie, the origin story. But there is the second Joker movie, which is interesting. So maybe they'll use the origin movie. They're promoting it as if it's not connected to the universe, but it would be interesting if it was connected. Like, it tells the origin of like, there's a fan theory that Jared Leto's Joker is Tim Drake, which is why in Batman vs Superman it shows Robin's outfit and it has like haha or whatever written on it. So that would make sense if the original Joker tortured Tim Drake and then he turns into the Joker, like the comic book line A Death in the Family, I think. So if that does happen and this origin Joker movie is the origin of the original Joker, and then it ends with, you know, Batman coming along or Tim Drake coming along, and then he's basically torturing, and they promote it as a standalone thing, but then it ends and it is connected and it does confirm the theory, then I think that would be a really cool thing that they could do, because then everyone who doesn't like this Joker, because he looks like what I called an edgy 14-year-old, kind of came up with the design, it would make sense, because Tim Drake was a teenager whenever he was tortured and went crazy, or maybe he was just a little kid. So, like, you know, a crazy 14-year-old kid would think all of those tattoos would look cool. And then maybe they could say that, like, Nightwing, because there is the Nightwing movie that they're coming up with, which is kind of like Batman, but he has no problems actually killing someone. And that could be, like, the death of the original Joker or whatever for, like, harming the other Robin or something. And that could explain why now there's this new Joker, but not the old Joker. I don't know. There's a lot of confusion there. That's just an idea or a theory that I have. But what do you guys think? There's, you know, I said the Batman movie, Gotham City Sirens, New Gods, which, if you don't know, New Gods is Steppenwolf, Darkseid, all of those people are in, like, they're the New Gods or whatever. Lobo, Black Adam, Deathstroke, Man of Steel. We recently, I guess a good place to start off is recently they showed off the Aquaman trailers. So were you guys able to see that?
Yes, I did.
No, I was not able to.
Oh.
So if Ashley, if you want to give your thoughts first, I'm gonna look up the Aquaman trailer right now.
That'd be a good idea. Ashley, go ahead, give your thoughts on it, and then Tevi can watch the trailer.
About Aquaman, or as I used to say, Aquaman. Yeah, that's embarrassing. I did really like Aquaman. I do not like Justice League at all. Like, there's very few things that I like about it, but one of the things that I really liked was Jason Momoa as Aquaman. He was just so awesome
and hot.
So there's that, and funny, and he just was so, he almost was the Drax of the group. He's just so funny and so badass and awesome that I was like, I might start paying attention to Aquaman's progress a little bit more. And so the trailer came out, and again, I think it was good. I think that some of the imagery, while the CGI isn't finished yet, I still think that it looks interesting. Atlantis looks intriguing, really cool. Yeah. I like that Atlantis. They included Black Manta in the trailer, which a lot of my DC friends were very happy with, that they included Black Manta in this film. So, Aquaman, I'm just hoping that it's good. It's very well done. I haven't seen any of James Wan's or other films, but from what I've heard from friends, they're all really good, so I have semi-high hopes for Aquaman. But other than that, I thought it was good. It just didn't get me, like, oh my god, I want to see this film. It's more like a, yeah, maybe. So those are my thoughts on the trailer, without giving too much away.
Yeah. So, you mentioned...
Even though I spoiled Black Manta being in the trailer.
Yeah, you mentioned Atlantis looked really good. I think it looked like... I can't... For some reason, we literally just got done talking about the Avengers, but Thor's homeworld. I keep forgetting the name of it.
Asgard?
Yeah, Asgard. It looks like Asgard, as beautiful and awesome as it looked, but just underwater. And something really cool about this movie is with... I was talking to Tevi about this earlier, but with like the Superman or Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Justice League, it all had like this dark gray tone.
It all had the Zack Snyder vision.
Yeah, which is what a lot of people
dark and gritty.
Yeah, which is what a lot of people didn't like about them. But then when you see Aquaman, it's, you know, brighter colors, especially with Shazam. Not only is the Shazam trailer full of actual color, which I'm wearing a black shirt, so I guess color doesn't matter. But like, you know, like I made the example, like, you buy like an HDR TV, or you buy the 4K Blu-ray because of HDR and the higher resolution, but then HDR is supposed to show off like a larger color scale, but then these movies have such a great tone that even with the, like, it literally does nothing for the movies, because, you know, they literally turn down the color, which is what
even Wonder Woman, I think at points had that problem of, in, I think, the No Man's Land scene, everything looked kind of the same, like color-wise. Even Wonder Woman's suit, which is very vibrant, looked the same.
Yeah.
It looked like bluish.
Well, Wonder Woman was being made at the same time that all of the Zack Snyder, or like Batman versus Superman and Justice League. So Wonder Woman started like right when Justice League was coming out or something like that.
Yeah, which is one of my hopes, that they change that for the second Wonder Woman film, that they make things a lot more brighter and vibrant and have an identity of its own, rather than just trying to be what Zack Snyder himself wants for this universe, which I think they are doing with Aquaman, and I'm very happy for that.
Yeah, because they're giving them all different directors now. I liked Batman vs Superman. I sort of liked Justice League. There was a lot of stuff that they could have done differently that would have made it better. Like at the end of Batman vs Superman, it shows like the dirt coming off of the grave as a hint to where, like, oh, Superman's coming back to life. But then why was the dirt raising up? Because they had to bring him back to life anyways. He wasn't naturally waking back up like the comics. So like there was just like a bunch of weird stuff about that. And then like the main fight happened, like they have Aquaman, but there's no water anywhere around. So like he didn't really get to show off any of his powers except like super strength or whatever. So like the whole thing is just weird. Like it would have been cool to have like if they were close to a beach or something, or if they were on the island that Wonder Woman is from, to where it's surrounded by water, and then all of those I forgot what they were called, the alien insect things, whatever, were coming in.
The parademons.
Yeah, the parademons. Then like Aquaman could have like sharks or whales or whatever jumping out of the water and like biting them.
Which we
out of the
do
sky.
see a little bit of in the trailer when we see that flashback of him being bullied by the kids. We do see one of the sharks like come in to try and defend him. Like
Yeah.
They did allude to that in the trailer.
Yeah. But like it would have just been just a cool scene to where, you know, if someone made the jokes like, oh, well, you know, Aquaman, you're not even in the water, how are you going to help us? And then it shows like an army of the parademons coming, but then like tons of sharks just keep jumping out of the water to take them down. Then it's like, holy crap, if Aquaman wasn't there, then they would all be dead because nothing would be there to stop this army of aliens coming in. So it would have made him seem a lot better than he was in Justice League. And I don't know, like they could have just done Justice League a lot differently.
Yeah, and I want to slightly change the discussion over to the Green Lantern Corps for a second, because I am curious about what they're doing with the Green Lantern, because we did see some Green Lanterns in Justice League in that battle against Steppenwolf. We did see a few of them.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, what are they going to do with that? Like, what is the plan for the Green Lantern Corps after that horrible Green Lantern film?
Blech.
I liked it.
Which I have actually seen, and I am very disappointed that I did. So I am slightly interested in that. Also, Jesse, go on ahead.
I was going to say, that first Green Lantern movie, I think the intentions with it was it being the first movie in a DC universe, but because it didn't do well, they held off, and then when they released Man of Steel, which did do well, then they like made it all based around that. And because the first movie didn't do well, they wanted to hold off before they reintroduced another Green Lantern movie, which there's a brief description here of the Green Lanterns where it says Green Lantern Corps was announced in 2014, and as of Jeff Johns' recent role switch at DC will be penned by the longtime comic writer. Described as DC's response to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, the film is set to focus on two prominent Lanterns, Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Casting is still up in the air, but a sizable amount of actors have openly campaigned for the roles. Most recently, Sterling R. Brown and Justin Hartley of This Is Us expressed that they wouldn't be against the idea of playing John and Hal. Fans have been eager to toss up other names like Armie Hammer from Call Me By Your Name or Charlie Hunnam from Pacific Rim for the roles as well. The film reportedly focuses on Jon Stewart's origin with an older Hal Jordan acting as his mentor. And IMDb gives the following summary. The story centers around the Green Lanterns on Earth, Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, Jon Stewart, and Guy Gardner, and the rest of the Green Lantern Corps as they fight an interstellar war against the Sinestro Corps, an army led by the former Green Lantern Sinestro, who are armed with yellow power rings and seek a universe ruled through fear. So basically the same story, or a similar story, as the first Green Lantern movie, but with more of the Green Lanterns that we're used to, instead of it just being focused on one. And even though it is a similar story, it's going to be completely different, I imagine, the way that like the small events or the movie goes. So sort of like the first Batman movie, like in '89, I think, was Batman against the Joker, and then The Dark Knight, like 10 years ago or whatever, was Batman versus the Joker. So same plot, but two completely different movies. So just because it has the same enemy as the first Green Lantern movie, I don't think that's a sign for everyone to be afraid of, because it just makes sense as the bad guy. Just as, you know, Superman having Lex Luthor as a bad guy. It's just, you know, makes sense. But continue.
All right. So, actually, Tevi, you've been noticeably quiet throughout our discussion, so would you like to pitch in?
Oh yeah, he's been watching the trailer.
I finished, I just finished watching the Aquaman
Hold
trailer.
on a second. Wait a second, I need to go do something. I'll be right back. You and Jesse can talk.
Okay. So I just finished watching the Aquaman trailer, and I've never really been that big of an Aquaman guy. I was sort of in the crowd that categorized him as the least interesting, member of the Justice League. Like, what can Aquaman do? Oh, he can talk to fish. Whoop-de-doo. But after watching this trailer, it looks good. It looks really, really good. It gives me
hope.
It gives me hope. Gives me hope. It does two things for me. One, it gives me hope that we're gonna get a good DC movie franchise now, after the stink that was the previous couple of movies. Which, I'm not saying the movies were terrible, but I think the word that we could use for them maybe is disappointing. But with Aquaman, and we'll talk about it in a little bit with Shazam, they're taking these movies in another direction, very similar to that of, say, like some Marvel movies, like Ant-Man, Spider-Man, some of these light-hearted movies that can still be serious, but, portray these characters as actual characters. But the movie looks really, really fun. I do like this design for Aquaman. I think it looks really, really cool. And I geeked out when I saw Black Manta. Like, it was so cool.
All right. So moving on to Shazam, what were your thoughts on that? Because the humor that they showed in that did remind me a lot of the same humor from Ant-Man, or at least the original Ant-Man, or the humor from Spider-Man Homecoming, which was really great to see.
This movie looks amazing. I think my favorite part of the trailer was when he's stopping those robbers in the convenience store, and they shoot him, the bullet bounced off, he's like, "A bulletproof! You're dead." Kicks him out the window. Sorry about your window, but at least you didn't get robbed. Oh, hey, what's up? I'm a superhero. Oh, like, this is definitely the, that's the best tone for this type of movie. He's a kid trapped in an adult's body, and they are taking that and they are rolling with it, and I love it.
Yeah, it even took them a while to do that in the Marvel movies, because, like, all the way up until Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor Ragnarok, were the first times that they started giving their characters a lot of humor, because with like Iron Man 1, 2, 3, there was really no humor. There was like little tidbits in there, but then after Guardians of the Galaxy, which was basically a comedy, they started putting more and more humor to where Thor Ragnarok was full of humor. So
I'd argue it was the funniest Marvel movie.
yeah. So with
All right, I'm back.
all right.
Yay!
So
We're talking
with,
about Shazam.
Yeah. So with the
Okay.
Marvels, you know, it took like 5 years or so before they started putting a lot of focus on humor. Luckily, I don't think it's taken DC that long, but it did take them a long time to not make their movies as dark. We're finally seeing that. So with Shazam, like I hope the whole movie has the same tone as the trailer, and there are a bunch of other awesome jokes in there as well. So
Yeah.
have you seen the Shazam trailer, Ashley?
I have not. I will
Oh,
be
okay.
doing that
All
later
right.
on.
Shoes on the other foot this time.
Yeah. So I guess with that out of the way, are there any other movies on this list? Like, out of all of these, what is the one that you're most excited about? And then we can end the podcast. So just like,
Definitely.
go through all of them.
Definitely Shazam. You know, like I said, this is going to be I think this will be their equivalent of Guardians of the Galaxy, not in terms of scope, but in terms of comedy and writing. I think this is going to be their comedy movie, because this trailer had me laughing so many times in this movie. I loved almost every single part of it. So probably this one and Suicide Squad 2. I was one of the few people who actually did enjoy Suicide Squad. So I'm very, very excited for the sequel.
All right. Ashley, are there any of the DC movies that you're looking forward to the most?
Well, I definitely would say Wonder Woman 1984 because I loved Wonder Woman. That is so far the only the only DC film that I can watch over and over and over again, and it never gets old. Like, I love the first Wonder Woman, and there's already quite a lot of intriguing stuff about it, like Captain Steve Trevor supposedly coming back from the dead, and that's already extremely piques my interest. Like, oh, what's up with that?
Yeah.
And I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, so have more of her, please.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm excited for.
I would say I would be most excited for Justice League 2, because I would like to see them take everything that people didn't like about the first Justice League, take it all out, and then leave us with the stuff that people did like and give us even more stuff that people would like. So, like...
And don't have the studio mess with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They know what they did wrong with Justice League, so get rid of all that, and whenever they make Justice League 2, it's like, now that you know what you did wrong, just don't do that. Don't try to make it dark. Just try to make Justice League the way people want, and then they can give you a villain that maybe isn't just a giant CG character, which people complained about in what was it? Batman.
Steppenwolf.
Well, they complained
Justice
about
League.
it in Batman vs Superman.
With
where-
Doomsday.
Yeah, it was just a giant CG character. They had the giant CG character fight another giant CG character in Suicide Squad. And then Wonder Woman briefly had a giant CG character, but for most of the movie it was a normal character. And then Justice League came out and had a giant CG character again. And over everyone kept saying that was one of the things they didn't like about the previous movie. So if they were able to do something where they can somehow have a human-like character and then maybe at the very end it's a CG character instead of having just the giant CG fest throughout the entire movie, because the villains always work the best when people are able to relate to them. So
that's what makes Thanos such a appealing villain.
yeah. So with,
Absolutely.
With Justice League, or Justice League 2, the first Justice League movie built it up to where the bad guy is going to be Darkseid, but if they end up going another route with it, like maybe it's I don't know, like there's several characters that they could get that would be more human. But anyways, yeah, I'm really excited about that because I would love to see a Justice League movie done the right way, and then I would love to see the Flashpoint movie because I'm a huge fan of the TV show The Flash. So to see big budget version of that with the best Flash storyline that there is would be really awesome to see, and then to see what kind of effects that has on all of the movies coming after, because Flashpoint not only affects the Flash but everyone else as well, because in the movie there's like a lot of what if scenarios that ends up happening because of just like one small thing in the past, to where all of a sudden now it's Martha and I forgot his name, but Bruce's mom and dad,
Martha and Thomas.
yeah, Martha and Thomas are the ones that live, and Bruce is the one that dies. I think Aquaman and Wonder Woman are bad instead of good, and like there's just like a bunch of like what if twists that happen just because of one thing that happened in the past. So it would be cool to see something like that sort of happen, and then when he goes back and fixes the mistake at the end of it, everything gets fixed, but not everything goes back to the way that it's supposed to be. Like in the Flash TV show, one of the characters has a daughter, but then when he goes back and fixes it and comes back to the future, instead of a daughter, he now has a son. So it's like little switches like that. And I think it would be a good way to erase some of the plot points from the bad movies and start over fresh while still continuing with what people liked. So it would give them an in-universe reason to change some of the stuff. Like there's
So like a very in-universe soft reboot.
Yeah. Like they have a scapegoat with that because it would actually make sense with the ways that the comic went. It would make sense with the way that the TV show went. So if they did it with the movies, it would work as well. There might be a few people scratching their heads, but then if they Google it and they're like, oh, it happened in the comics, they're just staying true to the comics, then it would make sense for them. And there's people like Ben Affleck has been giving hints that he doesn't want to be Batman anymore. So if instead, like, when he comes back, it's Batman looks like a different guy, as weird as that would be, it would still make sense for the continuity, because messing with time and everything. So yeah, that's basically all of it. Does anyone have anything final to say before we end it?
One final remark.
Go ahead, Ashley.
One thing that I want for all of these films is not have the studio get in the way for the millionth time. And that's it.
All right. Tevi.
I have a lot of confidence in DC for their next few movies. I think that they are finally starting to get the right people in to do these movies. You know, Shazam looks fantastic. Aquaman looks great. And like you were saying, if they want to make their sequels to these movies better, they need to take the things that didn't work, get rid of them, and implement something that would work. And if you can do that, you will have a very successful movie franchise on your hands. I wouldn't say to the extent of Marvel, how successful they've been, but DC, if they go down the path that they're going down right now with these newer movies, I think they're going to be just fine. So that's my final 2 cents.
All right. Yeah, I basically agree. They just need to make them more lighthearted and everything, which it seems like they're finally doing with Shazam. So I just hope that continues. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Remember, there are 4 different videos with this. I'll likely do another similar podcast like this next week or the week after, which hopefully by then there'll be a lot more news come out as well, because right now Comic-Con is just now ending. So in the days to come, there might be more information come out. The actual Venom trailer might be released. Some other stuff that were exclusive at Comic-Con might end up being released as well. So next week we'll have a lot more to talk about, but let us know in the comments below what you would like to see us talk about. But yeah, for this one we discussed the Venom movie, our thoughts, theories on it, thoughts and theories on Avengers 4, Silk, the upcoming DC shows or movies. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm Jesse. You can find me at Game Over Jesse. Tevi, where can people find you? On Twitter?
Okay. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Ultimate Smasher, and you can also find me on the Game Over Jesse Discord, which I believe there will be a link in the description down below. I'm usually active if you guys want to just chill out, talk. You know, I like to talk about Zelda, you know, Marvel. I'd like to talk. Just give me a subject, I'll sit down and talk about it. So that's where you can find me.
All right, Ashley, where can people find you?
You all can find me on Twitter. My Twitter name is @RealAshleyIkana, and I have a YouTube channel where I talk about Zelda theories, and I also talk a little bit about Kingdom Hearts. And my username is Champion Ashley. That's all one name. So I hope to see you all there, and I'm also on Discord as Ashley Ikana Champion Ashley. I try to be on whenever I can, but normally I'm not on for long periods of time. But if you guys have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you.
All right, guys.
Somebody's tired.
Thank you guys for joining. Yes, I am very tired. Yeah. I woke up at around midnight west. Well, not midnight, but sometime before.
My.
A lot of stuff. So
yeah.
Thank you everybody for watching live. Thank you everyone for watching the on-demand YouTube version, and thank you guys for joining.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me. It was a great opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on too.
Yeah.